that's what makes it so much fun is just hearing people dialing in from all around the country and so on. So I'd like to welcome everybody to this packed call today. Got some special guests on here. I know why you're here, to hear from some great leaders in Zango. So go ahead, Krista, you can mute that other line. I don't think there's any noise, but it should be okay. So hello, everybody. My name is Art Manville, and we are excited to be here today. We've got some great guests lined up today. You know, I've been trying to get the McCarthys on one of our webinars for several months now, and finally they were at the Seattle event, the All-Star Saturday event and the Elite Summit, and I pinned them in a corner, and I said, "You're going to come on a webinar." And so they've graciously invited a couple of their top team members. And by the way, somebody emailed me this morning and said, "It's so nice to hear stories from people on your team." Well, okay, I'd love to have the McCarthys on my team, but they're not. But they are great leaders in Zango, and actually, we are all on the same team if you're in Zango. So let's get the ball rolling. Let's see here. Just let me get the thing started. And here we are, Mike and Linda McCarthy, 500K premiers from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Are you there, Mike? I think you're going to talk first, right?
Hey, Art, I'm here.
Hey, Mike, great to hear you and see you. You know, we have a very interesting story. In fact, a lot of people on here, and I never even thought about it till just now as I introduced you, but we were actually in the same company just before getting involved in Zango.
That's right.
That's right. We forgot about that, didn't we?
Yeah, we forgot about that pretty quickly.
Yeah. So wasn't that a blessing when that company ran into problems? It was a blessing now, wasn't it?
It really was, you know, and that seems like often the way things happen, you know, in our lives, Art, you know, when one door closes, another one opens, and we just don't recognize it at the time.
Yeah. So anyway, Mike, I've asked everybody, we've got a couple of your great team leaders that are not only going to be telling their stories, but they have some great insights and some slides to show that's going to help everybody. So this is going to be not just storytelling, but with some real solid business tips that we're going to get a little bit later on. But I've asked you to come on and kind of tell your story, and then Linda's going to come on just to lay the framework here.
Well, you know, our story, Art, is very similar to yours and Terry's. We've been in, you know, dabbled in network marketing, I guess you could say, for about 30 years, and all my life I've been in commission-only sales, and that was fun and exciting when I was 25 or 30, but as you get older, it's less fun.
Right.
And you can never really quit. So we've always looked into network marketing and never had much success. And we found Zango 4 years ago, and it's totally changed our life. It's everything we've really looked for in a company, which is pretty rare, as you know, Art, that you find the right product, which is of course foremost, and then the marketing plan, and actually the owners is the most important thing, I think, don't you?
You know what, Mike? I didn't really pay much attention to owners. I think maybe that's why I had all those problems all over the years. But now that you have the right owners, you can sure tell the difference.
That's right. That's right. We sure can. It's been a blessing to us, and our success all stems from you know, putting ourselves down from a scale from 1 to 10 as just average folks at a 5 or maybe a 6, and going out and looking for 8s, 9s, and 10s, and we've sure found some, and that's related to all of our success in Zango. Really, it's not about us; it's about the folks that we've been able to share the Zango story with, that have seen the vision. And today, really, I have the honor of introducing the best networker I know, and that's my wife Linda, 500K Premier, and she's going to introduce a couple of our top leaders. Linda?
Hi, Art.
Hey, Linda, great to have you on the call.
Well, thank you. We sure appreciate it. I'll tell you, we watch you guys the webinar every Saturday when at all possible, and we recommend it to all of our new people when they're getting started, and to all of our distributors that are already in the business, because you guys just do an absolutely wonderful, wonderful job. And we like the way you think, and we like the way you talk, and you're just down to earth and basic and good common sense advice, and you're extremely successul, and you're just wonderful. You're likable, and
okay, that's enough, Linda. Okay, you're starting to make me blush here. You know, I'm like you guys. I don't really like a lot of praise. It's true. I know you guys are very humble leaders. It's funny, isn't it, though? We have such we're so connected in our basic business philosophies, I think, and as we compare notes, of any of the other 500Ks, we are definitely closer to being on the same page. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
It is, and I think what we've always felt is that we are very, very blessed to have found this industry, number one, and then extremely blessed to have found this company. We're grateful to our sponsors, James and Sherry Sanford, that had called us and told us about it, because if they wouldn't have, I don't know how long it would have been before someone else might have told us about it, and maybe too late for us, because when we started out, we were in a bad financial situation due to losing another two companies, actually, and I won't go into the details of any of that with anyone, but we had been very successful in one company, and we had been with them for 9 years, and then through some unfortunate decisions that the company made, that opportunity just absolutely went away along with our income, and we joined another one and worked like crazy for 5 months, and only to have that one get closed down. And so we were gun shy and in a situation when we found Zango that we needed to have a company that we could believe in, and we needed it to work, and we needed it to work then, or we needed to move on and find something that did. So we were very, very serious about it from day one, and we went out to the company, because the one thing that we've learned in all of these years above everything else is that nothing matters if the owners, the owners of the company are not right. So it all starts at the head, and if the head is not right, the body will not be right. And so it doesn't matter how good a product is or how good a compensation plan is or anything else. If those owners aren't right, they will tank your company.
You know what, Linda? I was just listening to you, and I believe it to be true, but I'll tell you, it's one of the hardest things to really figure out, because all the owners sound good before you get involved, right? But it's what they do after, I think, that makes the difference. Well,
it is. And back when we started, the company was fairly young, and, there was no brochures and DVDs where we could watch them and kind of get to know them through that venue. And So we got in a car, and before we committed to do this, we signed up, but then we got into the car and drove 10 hours to Salt Lake, and because we said we are not going to put our heart and soul into this until we meet these people, look in their eyes, and see if we can't get a feeling, of whether they're whether they're here for the duration. And I must admit, we went in there I did at least, with arms crossed, legs crossed, eyes crossed. I was not a happy camper when I went there that day, and I was going with the attitude of, I don't believe you, and if you can change that, then okay,
Yeah, well, we've both been burnt, I know the feeling.
Yeah, you really get once burned, twice shy, and twice burned, you're scared to death. So anyway, when we left there, our whole attitude had changed, and we were ready to go. And I will just say this one thing. On the way home from Salt Lake to Colorado, there is a long stretch where there is no cell service. And I'm talking about hours and hours and hours. And I thought I would have a heart attack before I could get home, before I could get into cell service, so that I could call my friends before somebody else did. I just knew that somebody would call them before I could get home about this wonderful opportunity. And I still feel that way today. I think what people need to realize in the beginning is that urgency is key. And you don't want to go to a meeting and see your friend sitting there that someone else just called yesterday,
right,
because you didn't have the gumption to do it, or you were going to wait till you had a check or anything like that. So the people you care about and respect and look up to and would love to travel the world with and everything, you need to call them immediately. And that's what we did. When we got home, the next morning, because we didn't get home until late, and I couldn't call the people in the middle of the night. I almost did, but anyway, but before I go into introducing Teresa, I think you have a couple of pictures that I wanted to show real quick, because our life has changed since that point. When we went there that day to interview the owners, we were scared. We were living on savings, and things were getting a little hairy. And now we're able to have a lifestyle that it's wonderful. And one of the things that Mike got to do here was go fishing, and we always wanted to travel the world with our friends and have fun. And this is why I tell people to enroll your friends first, because who would you rather travel the world with and have fun with than the people you care about the most? And one of the people that we enrolled, or two people actually, is John and Cammie Herring. And here Mike got to go to Alaska to go fishing with John Herring and Dr. Templeman there. And
it looks like somebody actually caught a fish, too.
They did. They had so much fun. And actually, Mike caught the biggest fish up there the first day, so he brags about that. And anyway, it was a wonderful trip. And it's just one of the things that he got to do that he'd always wanted to do. And it's just part of building this business. And you work, but then you get to enjoy the benefits of that. And then the next picture, if you can pull that one up, Art.
Always a little delay. Oh, there we go.
There you go. This is our little grandson, RJ. And last month, we took all the kids and grandkids, and we went up to the North Pole to see Santa's workshop. And one of the things they had was the little baby goats and goats that the kids could feed. So RJ's got a handful of goat food there, and feed them through the fence. And he was so happy. But I want you to look at Mike's face. Is this a happy man? When I saw this picture, I thought, you know what? This is what it's all about. We have time now. And when our little grandson calls, or granddaughter, and they say, Grandma and Grandpa, can you go do this or that? The answer is yes. Exactly. Almost always. That we build our life around them. We love them. We always did, but now we have more time that we can actually do things with them. And that's what this is all about. So building this business is worth the time that you put into it, because you help other people with their health and you help other people with their wealth, but you can also help give them back time. Right. And that we only have a limited amount of, and that's something we all need more of. And so I want you, everyone that's listening today, to go out here and take this business seriously. This is not a game. This is not a hobby. This is worth your best efforts. If you were to open any kind of business, this is worth you putting as much time as you would into anything, because in the end it will free you up and you can live your life and be with your family and your friends and do wonderful things. So now, we talked about that our friends that we sponsored are the most wonderful people in the world, and they are, and we have so many of them. I wish I could introduce each and every one of them to you today, but we're very honored today to be able to introduce two to you. And this is not just about telling the story. We have something today that is going to help each of you build your businesses. And Teresa has been working on a couple of things that she's going to show you and offer you. And I'm going to tell you, Teresa is a hard worker. She's the mother of two children and the wife of a pharmacist. She does everything in the world. Anybody that would follow her around for 1 or 2 days would drop. I would. You'd take me a week to recover. So Anyway, she's just wonderful. So let me introduce Teresa to you now. Teresa, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, Linda, and hello, Art. Thanks for having me on the call today.
Hey, Teresa.
It's really kind of neat that you're over on one coast and I'm completely on the other side, but yet, you know, in a short time we could come together, and that's pretty much what this is about, coming together as a team, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely, Teresa, and I've seen you at some of the events, and, you know, we met at the Elevation a couple of years ago, I think, with Mike and Linda when we were both on the verge of 500K, so it's fun to have you and some of your insights on the call today.
Well, thanks. As you can see, and as most of you have already been told, you know, Mike and Linda are my sponsors, they're my friends, and they're my mentors. And I met Linda and Mike several years ago, actually with another company. I wasn't very successful in that company due to just kind of timing and my involvement in it. However, it provided me some great education regarding the industry, but most importantly, it gave me the opportunity to meet Mike and Linda. And it was Mike and Linda that got me to the first Zango convention. I went kind of kicking and screaming because, you know, my life's pretty busy, Art, to be honest with you. You know, I'm a mom of two, like Linda mentioned, and my husband works full-time, and I was working part-time as a nurse, and I, you know, work at the school part-time, you know, volunteering, and I own some real estate that I manage. So I really wasn't looking for another job per se, but you know, I knew Mike and Linda, I loved them, and I trusted them, and that's really what got me to the convention, and that's where I started my dreams. So today I'm going to share with you some little tips about promoting events and the importance of.
Well, we got a little slide here about how your lifestyle is a little different now before we get to that.
Yeah, that's right. This is... Well, let me just tell you, before Zango, I worked weekends, holidays, mandatory overtime. I actually left for school, I left for work before the boys left for school, and I got home after the bus, and so it kind of took a small army to help me take care of them. But now I spend all holidays at home, and I drive the boys to school, and I pick them up, and it's just great. This is just my family. We've, you know, Zango's been a great thing in our home. Just before the snow fell, in fact, here in Buffalo, we put a new pool in, so we call it our Zango Global Bonus Pool. And as I'm talking to you here today, the boys and my husband are out in the hot tub, so it's kind of fun when the snow's falling. But in this picture here, this is us. We had an opportunity, to go to the Zango Real Salt Lake soccer team out in Salt Lake for the weekend, and it was great, you know, to travel out there for the weekend. And the boys enjoyed it. And I think, you know, for me, you know, doing this business, it's key for my family to love Zango. And look at them. How can they not? Even though my 12-year-old there could use a little smile, but he's 12. You got to understand.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But they had a wonderful time. And, you know, these are Zango dirt bikes. And I just wanted to share this slide because, you know, at the end of the day, Art, I'm just an ordinary mom. I'm like everybody, you know, I want things for my children that I might not have necessarily had, and I want them to be able to experience life not just through books, but to, you know, travel and meet people, and what a great industry to expose your children to. And I'm just, like I said, an ordinary mom at the end of the day. This is just my opening to events and the importance of, you know, as you may know, leaders are born at events, and the best distributors, or I should say the distributors that are best at promoting events are the ones that are going to win. You know, nothing can demonstrate the opportunity like a Zango event. It'll drive excitement and momentum better than anything else you can do in your business. So I just want to take a few minutes and share with you some things about events. So how to fill the seats at events, that's what it's all about, getting people to events, just like Mike and Linda did for me. And sometimes you, because people don't know what you know about Zango or about the event, you might have to, you know, go the extra mile to get them there, and even if it's putting them in your car and bringing them to the event.
Yeah, I would say it's the one thing that can absolutely, totally turn somebody on, you know. I mean, there's lots of other things that we do to expose people to this, and we could go through all of that, but the events are absolutely the one thing that can really make a huge difference in people's mindsets.
Absolutely. I remember, I'll never forget that first anniversary convention, and I won't go into details as to how Mike and Linda got me there, but they really put the dime out for me and so forth. And I'm eternally grateful because I really do feel that changed my life. And I know that's a pretty strong statement, but, you know, to be able to sit there and look at those founders and meet the doctors that had embraced the product and meet leaders like yourself, it was just a dream come true, and I really feel that that's where my dream began. You know, one of the things that I want to share, Art, is, you know, as we go through our busy days, and most of the people on this call probably work traditional jobs. I mean, most people do not quit their jobs to start Zango. And so with that being said, you know, everybody is busy. And you need to remember that busy is relative. You know, Linda talked about my life, and trust me, you can just ask my husband. It's a little crazy, but I love it, with that being said. But it's all relative. You may look at somebody else's life and think it's not as busy as yours, but if it's busy to them, it's busy. And most people's are, you know, with children and so forth. So what I was thinking was, you know, we need to kind of focus on the events and focus on getting people to the events. And even though we have them perhaps marked on our calendar and we know where they're going to be and we plan on getting ourselves there and we want to bring a few people, you know, are we truly actively seeking people to get these events, and are we tracking it? Because, you know, nothing's going to be organized unless it's written down. So what I did is I came up with a little tracker sheet, and because it's a Word document, you can actually go on and type in. And what I've done is I have copied it and put it onto my desktop. So like right here in Buffalo, and I also promote events in Toronto, I host those events as well. We've got about 4 major events in the next month. And so I've been utilizing this sheet to keep straight, you know, who I have coming, to what events, and, you know, have I made the call, and, you know, follow-up calls, notes about it. Maybe I'm picking up this one. I'm organizing these 2 to carpool. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get these people to these events, because let me tell you, if you go to events alone or with, you know, minimal people by your side, once you sit down at a Zango event, you are going to be very, very sad that you don't have somebody with you. And so, again, our days are busy, and I think it's just very important that we don't just keep it in the back of our head who we're going to try to bring as time ticks and we forget. Write it down, get it right on your desktop, and look at that every day and keep things straight.
Yeah, so if you have 4 major events coming up in Toronto, Buffalo area, then you would have one of these probably for each event, and all of the people that you have invited, how you've invited it. You've suggested maybe calling, emailing, postcard, flyers. I mean, those are all the different types of invitations, and then any notes on whether they're going to come or not. Is that what would go in there?
That's exactly. And, you know, because people are busy as well, some of them may not, you know, be able to make it, so I might roll them over to the next event, and so forth. So, yes, that's absolutely correct, Art.
Okay, I just, you have the one slide, an overview that I decided we had time to include in here. Just a little bit, because a lot of people, I don't think they really realize how powerful events are and how they should really act at them. So why don't you go through this slide a little bit, some of the keys at events.
Yep, thank you. Well, you know, first and foremost, you need to dress for success. You know, Zango's a big thing. And if you want to promote it as a professional venue, in which I would think you'd want to, you know, you need to play the part. You need to dress successfully. You need to arrive early. You know, there's nothing worse than, you know, leaders or distributors coming in, you know, right at the beginning. It's very distracting. Not to mention the pre-meeting, so to speak, in the room, networking can be vital to setting the stage for the person or prospects that you have brought to the table. Sometimes we're able to introduce our prospects to the speaker. You know, next week, Monday, I've got Kent Wood in Toronto. Trust me when I tell you, I will have every one of my guests up in front of that room, introduced, having Kent shake their hand before Kent even gets on the stage. It just sets the whole tone, trust me. But don't start your own presentation prior. You know, you're not there to present. You're just there to mingle, introduce them to other leaders, and so forth. Focus on the guests. you know, it's not a time or a place to be, you know, talking with other distributors or, you know, going off to the side or sitting in the back of the room. This, you know, you need to be mingling. You need to be focusing on not only your guests but other people's guests, because as we work together at Zango as a team, it's critical that we share ourselves with others. And that's very impressive to prospects that, you know, when you get into a room and people are working together. Nothing is worse than feeling the tension of not working together. Be attentive during the event. You know, take notes. Pretend you're excited to be there, and pretend you're willing to pay attention. And sit in the front of the room. Don't bring your guests to the back of the room. And most of all, don't get up when the speaker finishes. You know, people don't know when the event ends. You need to sit there, let people talk amongst each other, because those meetings and discussions after the event could be very crucial as well to closing people.
Yeah, great job on that. And, of course, we're in the West Coast here promoting the next major regional event here in Long Beach. And, you know, I think a lot of people start to take events for granted once you've been to one. And I think people can always get value from an event if they're attending. But if you're a leader on this phone right now, you should be thinking and planning and scheming, who can you get to this next major event? And there's plenty of time to get people out to this event. And that's something about planning into the future I wanted to add in there. Wouldn't you say, Teresa?
Absolutely. And one thing I want to mention lastly about, you know, inviting your prospects is that, you know, you need to edify the event. You need to edify the speaker. For example, you know, my corporate event with Kent Wood and Dr. Posang on Monday, you know, I'm calling people and say, listen, this doesn't happen every day. You know, we have the presence of the company coming in, so you've got to edify those speakers.
Okay, so we're going to move into this other little tracking thing. And by the way, we will have these documents on our website, becomingapremier.com, in the back office. Also, there is McCarthyCentral.com. I'm going to actually type that out and get it into a future slide here so that you can see where the McCarthys hang their hat on the internet. But this is a new little form that you've come up with as well.
Yeah, you know, Art, I was kind of, after the holidays, I was just kind of reflecting and pondering different things. And as I mentioned with the last company, I wasn't very successful. However, interestingly enough, I won a couple trips. You know, they have the promotional trips. And I actually won a trip in the first 6 months of my business. And within that time, I actually delivered a baby. And I went in the top 20. Now, I don't tell you that to impress you, but to impress upon you how I got there. And that is that my sponsor, if there was one thing that he was great at, and he was good at many things, but he was great at helping me drive my list. You know, Mike McCarthy and Linda McCarthy have taught me very early on that recruiting is the lifeline of our business. Isn't that right, Art?
Exactly, yeah.
So, you know, I thought about, you know, how do we get others to recruit? How do we keep them on task? And I thought about my old sponsor in the other company. He used to literally drive me around to my contacts, and this is a true story. You know, I used to have my little baby in the back feeding him on the way to some of these meetings, but he was so good at driving my list with me. Well, one of the things I felt like I was falling short with Zango was I was keeping my list just as I did in the past company, but I wasn't sharing it with Mike and Linda. And the same thing for my downline. I wasn't getting them to share their list with me. They'd talk about a few people here and there off the cuff, just as I would with Mike and Linda, but nothing was in a format that was organized and that one could keep you accountable for. So,
you know, I just love the title of this, Top 10 in Motion, because this is a moving list. This is a list that isn't stagnant. This isn't one you made 2 years ago. This is who you are working on right now, right?
That's right. Now, I don't know, Art, were you able to put my actual list?
Yeah, okay. We'll go right to that next. And this is what it looks like when it's filled in. This is part of our top 10 here that we could get on the screen coming up right now. There we go.
You know, the reason I thought it was important that I share this with everybody is because, you know, right now, as I sit here at my own computer, this is something that is saved on a file. It's a Word document right to my desktop. So every morning that I get up, it's one of the first things I look at because, again, recruiting is the lifeline of our business, and I can't ask my distributors to do something that I'm not doing. And so, what I have found is it keeps me very organized. I just take a couple little notes here. You can see Debbie and Angel, a nurse and a restaurant owner. They visited my website, and then I called, of course, as soon as I got the email that they did. And I emailed them a few documents, kind of dripping on them here and there, a little bit at a time, and so forth. And actually, they just came up with their business name, and they promised me that they were going to fax their app to me on 2/1, and they did. It actually sitting on my desk right now.
Right
so
on.
what I found is that because it's right on my desktop, I tend to it every day. It's the first thing on my task list. And just the other day, I forwarded it to Linda, and we sat for a few minutes and discussed the people on the list. And, as self-motivated as I am, I'm busy and I get distracted. I don't know about you, Art, but you get a bit distracted. And Linda, because she has my list, she often now says, hey, what's going on with so-and-so? Did you get back to so-and-so? How's this one coming along? And I think it's critical, not only for my business, but even more importantly, for the people that I'm reaching down to help. Because most people that get involved, they don't even know the importance of the list, let alone how to drive it. And so it will enhance your ability to work with people. When I've got somebody in Seattle that I'm working with, I say to them, hey, listen, email me your top 10 in motion list and let's discuss it. If they don't have a list together, then I know as a leader, that's really not where I need to spend my time. I need to spend my time with people that are willing to do what I do.
Yeah, so if you don't have somebody that has a list like this, you know that they're not serious, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And
you know what else I like about this, Teresa, is you've got your follow-ups, the 1, 2, 3, because the fortune's in the follow-up, and you can see from her dates and everything on here how she's following up on these people, and great notes and a real good overview of how to track this. And this is something we'll also have in the back office. Anything else you want to add, Teresa, before we jump on to the next guest?
No, I think, in closing, Art, it's at the end of the day, it comes to action. And, we could sit and try and devise all kinds of plans and master things. For myself, I'm blessed that I have the mindset of I'll jump in and then try and figure it out type person. But, for some people who like to really analyze things, understand that can also paralyze you. And it's about action, and there isn't a leader in this company that isn't full of action. And I want to thank you, Art and Terry. You guys are great role models, and I appreciate everything you do and look up to you, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thanks a lot, Teresa. Congratulations on all of your success. It was great to have you on the call here. Linda, I think you're going to jump back on here. And
yes, I'm on.
And guess what I found in my archives? Look at this little shot here that I found at the last convention with you with Ken. It just happened we were on the stage together there. And here's another. There's Terry waving there, and there's another shot here. We were like right next to each other there, so I wanted to share that with you before we jumped on to the next guest. Go ahead.
Oh, that is awesome. It's fun to be up there, isn't it, Art?
I recommend it.
I do too. Well, isn't Teresa terrific?
Oh yeah, she's great. Very focused.
When she showed me those documents, I was so excited. I said, everybody needs that, because it'd be so wonderful just to have them on your desktop in the morning and go in and type in, it's just a way to keep organized, and instead of having pieces of paper everywhere and all that stuff. So
exactly.
Anyway, thank you so much, Teresa. That was terrific. And now I'd like to introduce Priscilla. And Priscilla is a 200K Premier, very, very dear friend of ours, one of the top trainers in the network marketing industry. And she's been featured in Zig Ziglar, Network Marketing for Dummies, and other other books and things like that. I mean, Teresa is a house on fire. She's so much fun. And Priscilla, I'm sitting here looking at the other word. And anyway, Priscilla and Susie Jackson put together a wonderful training that's available now on McCarthyCentral.com. And when I saw it, it's a webinar. I'll tell you, when I saw it, I almost stood up at the end and just cheered. It was so good because it's been the missing link. It's what we all need. It's a wonderful place to start off brand new people. It's called the 7 Steps to 7 figures, and they did such a fabulous job, and they're sharing it with all of us, so I'm grateful for that. And one of the steps of the 7 steps is about three-way calling. So we picked that. Art had asked us if we would focus on that, and she does such a beautiful job on that. So she's going to give you a small sample of the 7 steps to 7 figures by going over what's on there about the three-way calling. So for Priscilla, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, then take it away.
Hey, Priscilla, how are you doing?
Hey, Art, I'm great.
Yeah, I really was just taken with your presentation at one of the major events. I think it was at a regional or something, and I always thought you'd be a great guest. So here you are. Listen, why don't you give us a little idea of your background before we jump into this section?
Okay, I'll be happy to, Art. I'm originally from Texas. I was a dental hygienist, and my husband was an airline pilot, and we lived what we thought was a pretty good life. On May 12th, 1982, I don't know who's counting, but on that particular date was the first major bankruptcy in the airline industry. Deregulation hit in the 80s, and the airline that my husband was a captain for was the first one in the country to demise. And I went from feeling very happy and secure to being scared to death. Wow. And that's kind of one of the things that I think that makes people build the biggest businesses in Zango are people who've been scared to death. There's a lot of reasons people join, but it seems like the ones that build it the biggest have had something in their lives happen to them that says, I don't want to ever feel like this again. And that never went away, and I began looking for what I could do, and I could not get ahead as a hygienist. There's a lot of us that may love what we do and may have good jobs, and I did. I loved what I did, but I had a dead-end job. They don't have like an executive vice president dental hygienist. You just are what you are. There was nowhere to go, and so what we were doing was looking for a way to compress time. We had to make up for a lost retirement income that Jim went on to get hired with Piedmont Airlines that brought us to the Carolinas, and then they merged with U.S. Air, and then U.S. Air filed for bankruptcy, and so we literally lived the ups and downs of the airline industry and knew that if we didn't do something that we were going to really have to scale down our lifestyle, or we could find something to do that we could leverage ourselves and work together and do it out of our house and build a team, which is network marketing, and upscale our lifestyle. So here we are, a little over 3.5 years in Zango, living better than we ever did in our working years, loving life more than we ever did in our working years, and are more excited about our future than we've ever been. So that's kind of my little short story.
Yeah, great story, and this is part of your training that you've done to help people get started. And I really have been wanting to get somebody on to do some training on three-way calling, and so we've got some slides. Why don't you just go ahead and go through these?
Okay, I'll take people quickly through the 7 steps. I call it 7 steps to 7 figures because I believe that these 7 steps are key for people to master in our industry. They're all pretty simple things, and whether someone's wanting to make an extra $500 a month or if they're wanting to make a 7-figure income, we all basically do the same thing. Right. And the first step is the why. It's knowing your purpose. The second step is we call it goals, and it's really picking a number. And we do 90-day game plans, and people pick a number of how many people they're going to talk to. David Butler calls it his MCD, minimum daily contact, or MDC, minimum daily contact. So we help people kind of pick a number for a 90-day game plan. And then number 3 is developing a list of prospects. And when you listen to the 7 steps to 7 figures, we show how we develop a plan, a business plan from that prospect list of knowing where people live, how you know them, what they do, what your relationship is. Number 4 is that another big thing, the invitation. What do you say to people is step number 4. Number 5 is picking a tool, understanding the tool. Step number 6 is the follow-up and the 3-way call. And step number 7 is collecting a decision and then getting people started. So pretty simple stuff.
Right.
The one, Art, that you wanted us to cover today, the three-way calling of all 7 steps, is probably the only one that is a real learned skill. And for people new coming into network marketing, it's one of the most uncomfortable things for them to get used to doing, because we don't do this in regular life. This is not done in corporate America. We don't do this on our regular jobs, and there's a resistance to doing that I think is what causes a lot of people's business to grow slow and sometimes not grow at all, because they're trying to do it all themselves, because that's the way they worked in the corporate world. So it's a monkey see, monkey do business in network marketing, and if you don't do three-way calls with the people in your group, then they won't do three-way calls with the people in their group. And one of the things that I found is that the people who aren't doing three-way calls never really learn the skill and the art of doing three-way calls, and then they avoid them, and then that's a whole nother house of cards that falls down. So it's an important skill to learn, and like everything else, like Teresa was saying, you learn from doing. So there's a couple of purposes for three-way calls, and the first thing for me is that it taught me about Zango.
Right.
When I was just enrolling in Zango, I was brand new. You know, I knew about network marketing. I'd been in network marketing for about 15 years. I was successful with another company. I knew the business, but I didn't know Zango. So every person, I think I can say this, every person I have ever enrolled, they have all been on the phone with Mike or Linda or James or Sherry or even David Butler. My first 3 weeks, I was ignorance on fire. I loved that. I had the little package that Linda sent me. I hadn't ordered tools yet. I had the DVD that came in my kit. It was Joe's Story. And I'm telling you, if I would drive down the street and my neighbor's garage door was open, I was calling them when I came home. I said, "Oh, I saw you were home. You got to come down. There's something you got to see." And they'd say, "Well, what is it?" And I'd say, "I can't explain it. You just got to see it. Can you come down?" It just would take about 30 minutes. And I would put them on my couch, push play on the DVD player. They'd drink some juice. I'd show them a newspaper, a brochure that Linda had in that packet, and tell them a little bit about what I was doing, why I was excited, and begin telling them about my friend Linda. And that's how I started, was ignorance on fire, and that's all I had to have, because Linda had all the information.
It's really funny, Priscilla, if I could interrupt what you just said, telling them about your friend Linda. When we got our first network, I was terrified and scared. This is back in the early 80s, and a friend of mine had a great story. And, gosh, I talked about him all the time, so people could hardly wait to meet them. So I think this is a key, then, that you're telling me to get the three-way call set up, is you've already talked about how great Linda is, and naturally they want to meet her, right?
Yes, and that's really kind of planting those seeds ahead of time, so that when it comes time to actually make the phone call, say, "Yeah, I remember you telling me about her," or "I remember you telling me about him," or you find these things that people may have in common that kind of builds a bridge to make them want to meet them. Somebody who maybe has twins. Yeah, my friend Linda, she's got twins too. Oh, Mike, he was in real estate. So they go, "Oh, really?" So you're exactly right. It helps to lay that groundwork for people to feel comfortable and excited about meeting the person on the phone. So that's kind of how I started. Art was with three-way calls. If I didn't have the three ways, I would be stuck in the mud, because Linda was the lady with all the answers.
Right, the out-of-town expert, right?
Exactly. She really was the expert, because I didn't know anything, but I took notes. I remember sitting on the couch. I would set the call up, and we'll talk about that in a minute, how you set this up, because Linda would need to know what her job was on this call. And it was up to me to tell Linda about this person is from corporate America. They're a little skeptical about network marketing, or this person absolutely loves the product. They just are not sure because it's new. And so Linda would know ahead of time what I needed her to focus on. And I think that's so important, because sometimes people maybe shy away from three-way calls because they're afraid that the upline or the person they're doing the three-way call with is going to make people feel uncomfortable or put pressure on them. And I'm telling you what, when three-way calls are done right, they are just beautiful. And when they are done wrong, they are awful. So it's important to know what your purpose is. And so if I'm initiating a three-way call with Linda, I let her know what we need to get done. And there's all kinds of reasons for a three-way call. There's a lot of people that think they know it all and they don't need to use anybody else. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But there's a lot of other people, they're just, in the beginning, a little bit too scared to even pick up the phone and say anything. So sometimes we'll set up these launch three-way calls. We can go back to the slide right before this one. The launch three-way call, it'll be up here in just a second. The launching a new, on step number 3 there, a launch three-way call is just to set up an appointment to talk to a friend of mine about this new project we're working on. And that's kind of like, you're on the bicycle, you've got the training wheels, but you know what? Just hold the seat and run with me for a little while. Get me started. The next reason to do it is helping people to move to the next step. They're stuck. They need a little injection of somebody else besides me. What Teresa talked about, promoting an event. I loved what Teresa did on promoting events, Art, because it is my passion. I feel like if people can do nothing else in this business, if you can get people to events, everything else will work itself out.
Right.
Without these events, people have no vision about what it is in the world, because we're in an invisible business and they can't see it. And we just had a big event here last Saturday, and every person who wasn't coming to the event that I know should be at the event that we did a three-way call with, guess what? They got to the event.
Wow.
So it's important to let somebody else show a different side of reasons people can make better decisions, modify behavior. And three-ways are great to have congratulate people for good things. If they got their first distributor, they became a 1K, it's a fun thing to do. But it's never used to convince people. And I will never do a three-way call when somebody says, if you could just convince them to da-da-da-da, it's not going to happen. So let's go to the next slide. And this is where the people from corporate America have a resistance to doing three-way calls because they're so confident, they're so well-skilled, they're used to talking to people, and they don't need people in corporate America. It would make sense to do what we do in corporate America. But what we're doing is building teams. And when you build teams, you don't hog the ball. The Super Bowl is coming up this Sunday. What would it look like if everybody came to the game and there's only one person on the field and they're like, well, I don't need anybody else, because I can pass the ball, and I don't need anybody else because I can catch the ball, and I don't need anybody else because I can run. You can't make a team with just one person. So it's really like when you've got a distributor that has an interest, that has a spark, the three-way call is to pour gasoline on that, and now it's time to throw the ball. And we're not always trying to hit a Hail Mary. We're just trying to get the ball further down the field.
Yeah, good point.
And for some people, Art, you may find this is you may need to do three-way calls with a couple of people for a couple of perspectives. We'll go to the next slide, because in the end, it's this series of exposures. It's not a one-time event that helps people see how big this invisible business is. So that's kind of the reasons to do three-way calls. And I'll talk for just a second on how to do them, or how I like to do them. First of all, everybody needs to make sure you have three-way calling on your phone. I like to do three-way calls with an appointment. My brain is sometimes turned off, sometimes it's turned on, and I just do a little bit better with my brain being on and being a little bit ready for it. I don't do real well doing three-ways on the fly, because three-way calls are one of the most important things I do in this business, and I want to be focused when I do it. What we talked about earlier, Art, was planting seeds early for that three-way call, finding reasons to connect. Who is this person in my upline that I'm going to be wanting to connect this prospect with? What do they have in common? What seeds can I plant to say, oh, you're going to love meeting my friend Art. They live out on the West Coast just like your sister does, and you're going to love to meet Art and his wife. Something like that, to plant those seeds early, and then when it comes time, oh, yeah, I remember you telling me about him. So what I ask people to do is call me a few minutes before it's time to make the call and to let me know, okay, what are we wanting to accomplish on this call? What's our purpose? And sometimes people will call me, Art, and they don't really know what the purpose is themselves. They say, well, this is just a distributor, and I just wanted you to say hello. And we've got to deliver more value than just saying hello. And that's where being able to just kind of build some rapport, find out a little bit about the person. And I usually start when someone says, well, I don't really know, what purpose is this, just to introduce you and say hello. I begin saying to this person, asking this person, so after we've built some rapport and asked some questions, so tell me, what is it that got you excited about Zango? I know that your reasons may change as you go along in the business and you know more, but for right now, what are you wanting to accomplish? And that helps me know kind of where they need to go. So that's important. Everybody.
Yeah, I really like that. To get into the reasons and the whys of the person that's on the phone and learn more about them through questions, right?
Exactly. Sometimes, what I'll do, Art, even if somebody tells me exactly what I need to do on this call, maybe they'll say, this person's company has just been downsized. They have got 6 more months, and then they're going to be looking for a way to supplement their retirement. I know what that is, and I will have written that down, but I'm not going to get on the phone and say, well, I understand your business is closing down and you're going to need to look for a retirement, option. I'm going to ask questions that's going to have this person tell me that.
Right.
Because I found that even if you know what people are looking for, if I say it, they disbelieve it. If they say it, they believe it. So my goal is to ask questions to get them to say what I already know. And as they talk to me, as I'm getting to know them and building rapport, I'm taking good notes so that in our conversation, when it's my turn to now see how I can help them move to the next step or have a bigger picture or overcome whatever objection it might be, I can take the things that they've told me and feed them back to them, and it builds now, number one, trust with people. It gives people clear direction. It lets them know that we're a team here, that we're all working together to support each other. They're so wonderful when they're done right. All the little bullets on here, people can just read of how the flash button works and how to make the proper introductions and to quickly. And what I teach people, Art, too, when you do a 3-way call and you've got your upline on the phone, don't say, well, hi, Linda, how are you doing today? There's a third person on that line, and Linda doesn't know it. And if y'all are good friends, she may say something that now she feels embarrassed because she didn't know there was another person on the line. And so we teach people just to say, hey, Linda, it's Priscilla. Do you still have a second to meet my friend, Teresa? So that we never put anybody in an embarrassing situation if they don't know that there's another person on the phone. And that's a real natural thing that people do. How you doing? So we teach people how to make introductions, and then they're finished talking. Talking is over. And then the other thing that's, I think, very, very important that people don't realize is that when you finish a 3-way call, you have got to make sure that line is disconnected and it's cleared. You hit the flash to disconnect the person, you hit the flash again to get the dial tone, and then you hit the flash a third time to reconnect with the distributor who helped you make that 3-way call. And it's especially important, Art, when you're leaving a message if you don't get a hold of this person, because that answer machine does not cut off.
Right.
And unless you clear that line and get a dial tone, the rest of your conversation is on that answering machine. So
yeah, I've had conversations left on my answering machines.
Yes, yeah, and you just go, whoa. So that's just a technical thing, but it's a very, very important thing. So I know we're out of time, Art, but I think the most important thing with 3-way calls is to do them with skilled people in your upline that can help, that you'll learn by listening to them how to do the 3-way call, so that you can do that to help the people in your group.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Fantastic job, Priscilla. And one of the things I got out of it is to have an intention for the 3-way call. Have something, some objective, something that you are trying to accomplish with it. And I think that's the great thing that I've taken away from this myself, that, you know, a lot of times I think we get on the phone and we chat, but it doesn't necessarily, you know, have a real ending or something we're trying to accomplish.
Well, you know, I want to talk about something that they want to hear or need to hear, not about what I think that they should hear.
Right. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Priscilla, so much for coming on. Great job on three-way calling.
Thanks, Art.
Great resource. This will be recorded, of course, in the back office. And I think, Linda, you're going to come on and just sort of wrap up?
I am. I want to thank Priscilla. Thank you, Priscilla and Teresa. You did a great job. And thank you, Art, for the work that you guys, you and Terry, do every single week. So we appreciate it so much. And we wanted to end up with a picture of our dream team, because when you're all out there building your businesses, you know, go talk to the people that you love. Talk to the people that you respect and that you would love to travel the world with. And that's what we did. And you'll find that if you'll talk to people that you really like, then they'll bring people aboard that you'll really like also. And you will have a team of people that you'll enjoy, that you'll love traveling with, and so forth. If you sponsor people you don't like, you know, the same will hold true, you know.
Right.
So we are so fortunate to have all of these wonderful leaders on our team, and hopefully at some point you'll get the chance to meet them all. Our website is McCarthyCentral.com. It's free site to all, as is Art and Terry's, which we appreciate so much, you guys. And so you can sign up for our broadcast list if you'd like, but you can listen to all of Priscilla's training on there, and Susie Jackson, 100K, did such a beautiful job as well on that. So go and watch that, and Mike will be out up there on the road next month and see a lot of you back east. So we appreciate you having us today, Art.
Okay, thanks a lot, Linda and Mike McCarthy, 500K Premier, some of their top team leaders. A real blessing to have the McCarthys in Zango. They have great hearts. Their team is very, very connected, and I really admire, respect them a lot, as Terry does as well. So thank you, Mike and Linda. Hang on here. We're going to open up the lines in just a second here where people can express their appreciation to everybody. Couple slides. The 1 ounce is coming out February 15th. If you want to have it as part of your ADP, call into the company and they can ship a case of this in place of your ADP. So do that, or after the 15th of February, be able to order that. We also have the Dr. Miller and Fifi Cheek call coming up February the 5th. Always a packed call with Dr. Miller the first Thursday of every month. There's our team training site. Join our loop here. Add your new members that want to build a business there. So we should be coming. There it is right there. And so thank you all for coming on the call. Let's open up the lines here so that we can give some thanks to the McCarthys, Priscilla and Teresa, for such a fantastic training today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.